Well, hello guys and gals, it's me, your old buddy Mr. Moose, back with another edition of American Truck Simulator, and today we are going to be covering how to make truck skins. By now you've probably seen the little tease video I did for the custom stand-up sleeper I made for myself, and in the background here you can see that I've done a day cab with a fleet design for my virtual trucking company. Well, today I'm going to show you how you can make one yourself using just a couple of simple tools and a little graphics program. So let's get started. I'll tell you this before we do get in depth into this. The information I'm going to tell you is just the basics. You'll have to learn more if you want to get really in depth on this. I'm going to teach you how to make a skin per truck design, and I'm going to give you the tools that you can use. I do assume that you have a basic knowledge of how to use compression programs as well as how to put mods into American Truck Simulator. With that said, let's get going. There are a couple of pieces of software we'll need to download to be able to do this. The first thing you need to do is do a search for ETS2 Studio, or come to www.ets2studio.com, and you're going to want to download yourself the latest version of ETS2 Studio, which is 7.0.1. It's this one right here. Download that to your computer. That is a compressed file. You are going to need to decompress that so that you can get to it. The next thing you need to do is you need to follow the link in my description below on how to get to InsaneJ's WordPress page, which is where he's got some cool little mods. The most important thing that he has is the American Truck Simulator truck skinning templates. Pay no attention to the fact that he has not changed his logo to include the fact that he's doing American Truck Simulator templates, but just note that in the text it is truck skinning templates, and that we can get stuff for American Truck Sim. Notice the shape of the truck. That lets you know that you're getting the right thing. Download the template for your preferred format. If you're using Photoshop, you are most certainly going to want the PSD format. If you're using GIMP or Paint or any other graphics program that does not support PSD files, you're going to want to get the PNG format. Download that to your computer. Both of those are compressed. You will need to decompress those into a folder, and you need to have something that looks sort of like this when you are done. You'll notice I have ATS Truck Templates PNG, ATS Truck Templates PSD, and then I have ETS2 Studio 0701. That's all we need to get this done. Now, again, you have to have your own graphics program. Hopefully you've got one of your favorites. If you're using GIMP, Paint, something like that, where you're going to be using a PNG file, you'll navigate to the PNG folder and you'll see the two trucks that are currently available in the game, the Peterbilt 579 and the Kenworth T680. Pick out the truck that you want to modify. In our case, it's going to be the Peterbilt 579. Then you'll find 4 different templates in here. Inside you'll see cab lid deflector, cab A, cab B, cab C. Cab A is your day cab, just the cab and the motor and all that good stuff. Cab B is your stand-up sleeper. Cab C is your big, humongous sleeper. And cab A with deflector, well, that's the day cab with the big old wind scoop on top of it. Pick out the one you want, open it with your program of choice. Again, I'm using Photoshop, and you can see that this is what cab A looks like when you open up the template. Everything is kind of color coordinated, so you'll be able to know what goes with what. Red is your base, or the parts that are going to be common to every truck in the game. So you've got your hood here, or you got your fender here, the wheel well here, the flare on the wheel, your door, your hood is right here. These two pieces here are the front pieces that surround the radiator on the truck. In yellow, you'll notice that you have the cab body, and then you have the top of the cab here. This is the back of the cab, and these are the side skirts that will cover up the gas tank if you happen to put those on. This piece here is the top of the side skirt that starts right here on the wheel well, comes down, and then where the step is to get into the cab. This red piece, well, it's red, so it corresponds to the front of the truck. It is the bumper. Then if we scroll up here, you have a mirror image of everything up here. You have a small piece of the side skirt here in blue, and then you have the this is the sun visor, and then you'll see the mirror is inside the door for each side, and that little piece that pokes right through there, that is the corresponding window frame for the door on the opposite side of you, so that it gets colored in as well. Alright, so that's the template for the day cab. If we step up to cab B, you'll see it changes up a little bit. This is the sleeper. You notice the colors have changed a little bit. The sleeper is different. You still have your hood, the pieces for the radiator, all your fender and wheel well, bumpers here, side skirts. The cab has changed color. It's now green. It's a different shape. You'll see the hood, or the top of the cab is moved up here. Then you have the blue is the sleeper. This is the back of the sleeper, and this up here is the top of the sleeper. Sees the same way, it's just different shapes and different color and all that good stuff. So that's the PNG. You can edit on top of that if you're using whatever other program you want to use. If you're using a PSD file, it's a little bit different. If we jump into the PSD file, you'll see everything opens up like this and is all jumbled up together for you. But it's pretty straightforward. If you come over here to the side where the layers are on the far right, you'll see that each layer has been named, and it will tell you exactly what it is. Mirrors. That's pretty straightforward. Come all the way down to the bottom. Base. That's the base part of the truck, the things that are common to everything. Cab A, that's for your day cab. Cab B and C, that's the cab that's going to correlate to your sleeper bodies. Sleeper B is your stand-up sleeper. Sleeper C is your full-size sleeper. Day cab deflector, that's the big wind scoop that would be on top of your day cab. Then you've got your bumper, your side skirt, short, side skirt, long sunshield mirrors. I'm going to get rid of all that off the screen except for the base. And you have this, the base. Then if we wanted to build a truck, we would build it with the parts that we're going to actually need. So if we were building the stand-up sleeper, I'd go cab B and C. I'd go sleeper B. I'd want to have the bumper, the side skirts, the sun shield, and the mirrors. And it puts them all in place for me. And then I can edit that template out, and I'd be ready to put that into the game. So that's how you get the template adjusted to what you're going to do. Now for today, we're going to do just the day cab. So I'm going to bring up the day cab design. Now this gives you the basic template parts for the day cab. What we do here is basically, from here, is just basically the same for any kind of graphics program you have. You can't do the layers and stuff like I was doing in Paint, but you'll have the PNG up and ready to go. Now you're just going to paint over each of these items to the color that you want them to be, or add any kind of graphics wherever you want them to be. For instance, for me, I've already done this up. I'm just going to turn it on and let you see to save time. This is what my template's going to look like when we're done. Now, again, if I turn off some of these colors, you can see everything is laid out for the base part of this on top of my truck where it needs to go. So for instance, I want a logo on the back of the cab. There's a logo there. I want a logo on the door. It's there. I've also got some more information on here. Oops, I went in a little too deep there. I've also taken the time to add in a little more information. I want to make it a little more realistic, so I've added in some DOT information as far as DOT registration. You can do that as well as you want. You can do whatever you want. I also want a little white stripe to go along my cab, so I've put a white stripe here with a little bit of gold pinstriping on it. And I just did that using Paint. I just went in and made a layer for each piece that I want to do. I'll go in and show you that. I go to the driver's door here under my layers, and these are all the layers that I'm using with elements that are in here. I'm going to get rid of everything, and I'm going to pop them up one at a time so you can see what I've got. I've got the logistics, which is text. I've got the text information for the DOT in white. I've got my logo, which I have shrunk down to fit on the door. And then this here is the white panel that has the little gold outline on it that I have made to be my white stripe across the body of my truck. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on how I did that in the graphics program because if you're doing this, you should have some understanding of how to paint in Paint or GIMP or in Photoshop. So I really shouldn't have to hold your hand on that, okay? The most important thing you need to know is where you want the colors to be changed on your truck. That's where you put in your color differences. So again, I've done the same thing for the passenger door. And then at the top where I'm going to turn this layer off. At the top where I'm going to have the scoop, which I forgot to turn that on. Let's turn on the deflector. This is the deflector on top of the truck. The one thing I have to tell you about this, the template is backwards on this. So if you put in, you'll notice my logo's backwards here. If I put it in right, whereas the lettering reads from left to right, when I put it on the truck, it'll be backwards. So you want that to show up right to left in the template. In other words, it's going to show up backwards when you put it on the truck. So you'll see that I've got it reversed right now, but when we go into the game, you'll see it's right. And again, you'll see I've got my white banner continuing across the back of my truck and all that. So you'll see how I've got everything basically laid out. You'll do the same thing on your program. You'll do up the art however you want to do it. Lay it in over the template. And then the last thing is I want my truck to be red. So I've made red everywhere else on the truck on the template, except for where I'm going to actually have my logos and such. Pretty straightforward. You'll see like I made the visor up at the top. I want the visor to be white. So I've taken and I've put a little white bar up here. Here's the visor portion again. I want that to be white. So I made a little white box that is covering that up. If I click on it, you'll see the outline of it. That little white box is covering that portion up. That means my visor is going to turn out to be white. Everything else is going to turn out red. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Again, I'm going to assume you have the basic knowledge of how to use a painting program or graphics program. All right, once we're done, we've got everything laid out. We want to save this, and we're going to save this as a PNG file. You don't have to do DDS. It's not that complicated. We're just going to save it as a PNG file. So I'm going to come here, and I am going to navigate to my desktop, ATS skins, because I want to do everything for the same folder. I am going to come down here. I'm going to select a PNG file. I'm going to save this as a PNG, and I'm just going to call this Mr. Moose _ Fleet. Doesn't matter what you name it. You can name it anything you want. And save that to your system. Now, if I come into my folder, you'll navigate back to where I saved it. You'll see that I now have Mr. Moose Fleet as a PNG file, and that is ready to go. Now we go into ETS Studio. So we'll open up the folder and we will launch ETS Studio. And the first thing you're going to notice when you go into ETS Studio is there are no trucks for American Truck Simulator in there. It doesn't matter. The truck isn't what matters. It's the assembly process. So pick any truck you want to use on here that's out of ETS2. I'm going to use the MAN TGX. It doesn't matter. I know my skin won't work on it, but again, we're just going to assemble using this program. All right, so I have my base truck selected as the MAN TGX. I'm going to Skin Properties, and under Skin Properties, I want to name it whatever I want to name it. So I'm going to name it Mr. Moose, and this is how it will appear in the game. Fleet, and then I'm going to say Cab A, because this is for the day cab. All right. The next is your skin internal name. It cannot be long, so make it short, brief, to the point. I'm just going to say Fleet. Oops, no capital letters either. Fleet _ I can't do capital letters again there, Moosey. It's a force of habit. Cab _ A. All right. So that is telling me the name of the file is Mr. Moose Fleet Cab A. Internally, it's going to recognize it as Fleet Cab A. Again, you can't make this really long, so just use as few characters as possible. Next, the most important things you need to remember. Skin type has to be selected for airbrush. Unlock level. This is what level you can use it at. Do you want to be able to use your skin immediately when you start the game? Leave it at level 0. If you want to get to level 1 or whatever. And then the next thing is skin price. How much do you want to pay for it? Do you want to pay $10,000 for it, or do you want to pay $1 for it? I'm going to set mine for $500. Next thing is skin stock. You want that check marked. You also want to come over to alternative UV set and check mark it. Very important that both of these are checked. Finally, you can set the base color of your truck. If you want it to be whatever color you want, you can select that using the selector wheel, or you can put in the values yourself. I'm just going to set mine to be, let's make it just red. So we'll come in here with a red color, select that. And we are done on this page. We will now move to truck skin. This is where we will import in the PNG file that we just made. So we'll hit the browse button. We will browse out to where we made that little file, which is on my desktop. It is in my ATS skins folder, and it is Moose Fleet. I will open that up, and it pulls it in, and you can see the artwork that we just did a minute ago. From there, we are going to move over to Workshop Icon. Now, this is what will actually show up in the game where you paint your truck in the customization menu. You can make a little thumbnail here to go into this. I think it's like 256 by like 90. I don't know the exact measurements for how big this is. I'm just kind of lazy. I'm not doing this to export it publicly, so I'm not even going to worry about making an icon for it. I'm just going to say use default. If you want to make your own up, you can make your own up. You can read a little bit about this program in the help notes and find out exactly what size that needs to be. It will tell you about that. Once I've done that, I'm pretty much done at this point. Now I just have to go into export mods. So up here at the top, click the Export Mods button. It's going to ask me where I want to export this. Very important that you follow this direction now, okay? Save type as. I want to save it as a zip file. Trust me, do it this way. It will cause you the least amount of headache. Name it whatever you want to name it. I'm going to call mine Mr. Moose Fleet. Not PNG, just Mr. Moose Fleet. And again, I'm saving that as a zip file. Save it. And then we are done with this program. You can close it and navigate to where you saved that file. I saved mine into my ATS skins. Here you see the zip that has Mr. Moose Fleet. I know some of you right now are screaming at the monitor going, no, you should have saved it as an SCS file. No, I don't want to save it in an SCS file because the next step I'm going to do is to decompress it. So I'm going to decompress this file because I've got to go in and alter some things in there. So use your extraction program and extract it to your computer. I'm going to extract it right to where we're at. So now I have a folder called Mr. Moose Fleet. I'm going to open up that folder, and you'll see now I have the 3 folders that contain all the information for our skin. We're going to navigate through Def, Vehicle, Truck. And now you will see the truck that I selected in ETS2, which was the MAN TGX. You'll see it listed here. That is not a part of American Truck Simulator. We need to change that. We're going to change that to the model of the truck that you used the template for. So in my case, it was the Peterbilt 579. So I will come in here to rename it. I will rename this Peterbilt 579. Peterbilt .579. Make sure you put the period in there. If you're doing the Kenworth, it'll be Kenworth .T680. All right, so for this one, it's Peterbilt .579. Now, once I've renamed that folder, I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to double click on Paint Job, and we're going to come to Fleet Cab A- or .SII. I'm going to open that up with either Notepad, Notepad++, whatever program you use to do any kind of Word text editing, open it up with that. I use Notepad++. With this open, you'll see a whole bunch of information here. The only line we're interested in is accessory paint jobs data. You'll see the name of it says Fleet Cab A period man TGX, that's that truck that we used in the beginning. We need to get rid of that. So I'm going to highlight just that part, and I'm going to replace that with the truck that we are editing, which is the Peterbilt .579. Get that right. And I am going to save. Once I've done that, I can close out my notepad. I can navigate back through my files until I come back with the 3 files here: death, material, vehicle. Now that I have those, I can get those together. I'm going to right click on them. I'm going to add that to an archive, and I am going to create a zip. But I'm going to change the extension on the zip to SCS. Now I'm using WinRAR, and WinRAR gives me the ability to select either a RAR or a zip. Make sure you select zip. If you do this as a RAR, it will mess up and it will not read in the game. I know this. I've made that mistake before. So make sure you have it set as a zip. If you're using WinZip, this probably won't be an issue. You're just going to use zip and go there. But we want to change the file extension to be SCS. All the files in the game have to be .scs for it to be picked up. So we're going to create our zip, and there we have Mr. Moose _fleet.scs. Now with that done, we just have to add that into our mods folder. So I'm going to come over to my documents. I'm going to come to American Truck Simulator, to the mods folder, which is right here. I'm going to drag that over, drop it into my mods folder, and now all I have to do is launch the game. Alright, now that the game's launched, the first thing we need to do before jumping into any profile is go into Mods Manager and enable the mod that we just created, which is the Mr. Moose Fleet. I'm going to double click on that so that the light turns green and it says active. That means my mod is ready to be used in the game. I confirm my changes, and then I launch the profile that I'm going to use it in. I'll let that launch up, and then we'll finish up. Alright guys, here we are in the game. You'll see my sleeper cab here. We're going to go in and we're going to paint up our little truck that we've got. So I'm going to jump over to Truck Manager, and I'm going to select my day cab that I'm going to be painting up. I'm going to go to the upgrade shop for it. Here is my day cab that I've got right now for my driver. I want to make that all Mr. Mooseed, make it a fleet truck. So now that if we come to our paint, you'll see that the little paint icon is here, Mr. Moose Fleet Cab A. If I select that, voila, there's our logo, our paint scheme now. And as we turn around the truck again, you'll see that I've got the logo here on the back, though it doesn't really work that well because of the backup lights. On the passenger side, you'll see I've got the logo and my DOT information on the door. Looking good, right? Now remember, we painted everything else for this truck as well. So if I come into the truck accessories, if I click on the bumper and change to the painted bumper, it's going to be red and match. If I change out the colored mirrors, they're going to be red because we painted those red. If I come up here for the sun visor, remember we painted that white, so it's now going to be white. And if I want to put the roof deflector on, I can put the day cab roof deflector on. And now that has the Mr. Moose logo on it. And remember, I put the Mr. Moose logo in backwards in the template, reversed, but in game it turns around and it's coming forward. That's because in the template you're basically looking at the deflector from this angle, so just keep that in mind. And that's it, guys. I mean, that is the basics. That has gotten my paint job in the game, and so now I can go ahead and confirm that order, and now my truck driver has that nice little it has that. So if I select drive it, yes, and we come back out, you'll see there it is in the shop. That is the down and dirty basics of how to do it, guys. I hope you have found that information useful, and maybe now you can go out and tackle it and make yourself a paint job for your truck and go from there. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, the links for ETS2 Studio and for the templates are in the show notes. The rest of the programs you'll need to acquire on your own. And finally, I will just say that if you're watching this 2 months from now, there are other trucks that are going to be added in the game. As a matter of fact, that I guess the W900 is going to be added in the next few weeks apparently, so, or in the next few days or whatever. If you watch this video and some of the links are broken, sorry about that. They were working when I made the video. Till next time, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I do new videos each day for you. Until the next time, stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.